the turnout, the people I'm seeing, some of whom I actually know, which is very cool. How's that?
Great.
All right, cool. Okay, so I'm going to be doing 5 pieces. The first 4 are rewrites. Is it on? Did you
Yep.
turn it on?
I sure did.
Oh, okay, great. Wow. Thanks. It's my friend Steph, who is seems to know everything. And I need people like that around me. So I'm going to be doing 5 pieces, the first 4 of which are rewrites. So some of you may have heard them in earlier versions. Hopefully I've improved them, and you won't be bored. And the final piece is one that I just wrote about a month ago, and it's kind of a lengthy piece, so I haven't had a chance to read it in front of an audience yet because it doesn't fit into the typical 4 or 5 minute open mic slot. So thank you to Antoinette for giving me this opportunity to read my lengthy piece. And I want to say that I'm dedicating this feature to a good friend of mine, Ken Simon, who unfortunately died about a month ago. So you have to like it, because I've dedicated it to a dead friend. So,
yes, sir.
So it's not, don't blame me. Those are the rules. All right. So here we go. Any time here. About the author. Born fully clothed, but without an indoor voice. Presciently dropped out of college at the age of 6. Worked briefly as a kidnapper, but failed in that endeavor due to the fact that his ransom notes were too rambling and incoherent, and therefore no ransom drop was ever successfully made, which is why he is still holding 6 people against their will. He was never paid a ransom for their release and doesn't want to just let them go and look like an idiot. Is the author of several ramblingly and incoherently written books, including America, The Definition of Insanity, Pessimism for Dummies, aka The Glass is Not Half Empty, It's Completely Empty, a diet manual, Eat in Front of a Mirror, and an autobiography, Brain Makes Frequent Stops. Is the winner of several awards, although they are all imaginary and were presented to him at the award show continually running in his mind. Was going to be named Narcissist of the Year by the National Narcissist Association, but at the last minute, its members decided not to because they wanted it to be all about them. Currently spends most of his free time trying to get his name legally changed to Resident so he can get more mail. Would like to make it perfectly clear that the rumor going around that he burned down his happy place for the insurance money is completely untrue. And would like you to know that, despite his rampant negativity, he loves you all. Some of you more than others, but all of you at least a little. Hello?
Hello.
My name is Alan, and I will be your server. Are you ready to order? A burger deluxe. Excellent choice. Would that be a beef, turkey, chicken, beyond, or impossible burger deluxe? And how would you like your burger cooked? And would you like a seeded bun or one without seeds? And would you like cheese on that? And would you like lettuce? And would you like onion? And would you like tomato? And what would you like to drink? Oh, a Coke. Excellent choice. Would that be classic, diet, or cherry? Large, medium, or small? Crushed or cubed ice? And will you be requiring a straw? What's wrong? Why are you getting angry? I'm just asking you all of these questions because I want to get your order the way that you want it. That is my job, after all. Excuse me for taking my job seriously and caring about my customers enough to make their meal a nuanced experience. You know, I could just make all of these decisions for you and bring you something that you won't like, but then you might not tip me. And you know, I live off my tips. And every time someone stiffs me, it's devastating to me, not just financially, but also emotionally, because I take any sort of rejection very personally. I can't look at myself in the mirror. I actually die a little inside. It's all I can do to keep from picking up this steak knife and plunging it into my chest. But what difference would that make? It would just be one less waiter in the world, right? Redraw the map. Give each of the other servers one extra table. Hello, I'm your new server. The waiter who was serving you has killed himself. That's his body right over there. Excuse me, can we get a busboy to remove that body, please? Now, are you ready to order? Wait, where are you going? Why are you leaving? Do you have something against professionalism? Oh, by the way, I have a name for this feature. Negativity for a Sunday afternoon. And this will be an example of that. I remember love. The euphoria that gives way to the surreal, that gives way to the all too real. Reality being such a fragile thing that if you move just 1/8 of an inch to the left of reality, or let the statute of limitations run out on reality, or try to play both sides of reality against each other, you could find yourself inside an irresistible irrationality that idealizes sociopathy, that ignores the toxicity of disingenuousness, that does its best to deflect insulting compliments and cheerful condescension and ironic respect. And I envy my friends because they are nice people who like to live in the present, while I insist on living in the past because that is where love is. And I cannot even remember the last time that I had a memory that was not of love. It's a kind of living that has turned me into someone who demands an apology from anyone who is in love, but who still went out and bought 300 copies of Love's first published memoir, which is appropriately entitled The Inconvenience of the Soul. I am not crazy. The general consensus seems to be that I am crazy, but the general consensus is wrong. I am not crazy. In fact, I am the opposite of crazy. I am uncrazy. Okay, so uncrazy isn't actually a word. I just can't off the top of my head think of the word for the opposite of crazy. And just because I can't remember the word for the opposite of crazy does not mean that I am crazy. Perfectly sane people forget words all the time. Wait, the word is sane! Yes, the word for the opposite of crazy is sane! See, I remember the word! So, like I said, I am not crazy. In fact, I am just like you. I forget words, and then I remember them. I am just as sane as you are. In fact, maybe saner. Because unlike you, I don't go around cavalierly accusing other people of being crazy. I don't throw that word around so randomly. I understand the weight of that word. I know how personally hurtful and tangibly destructive to a person's life that word can be. I have some semblance of a sense of propriety, of a sense of responsibility to conform to established standards of good and proper behavior. And that includes not haphazardly accusing others of such things as might fall under the staggeringly wide umbrella term known as crazy. A term that is relative at best. Your crazy could very well be my sane, and vice versa. And society can make all the decisions it wants to about who it does or doesn't consider crazy. Like you, I have my own feelings about that. But unlike you, I am not crazy. All right, so I got one more piece, and it's the lengthy one, so
buckle up.
I was gonna say settle in, but you know, if you feel the need to buckle up, that's fine. How's that looking?
Good.
Am I right there? Okay. Probably cut off right there. For some reason, I have a lot of trouble getting a decent video of the features that I do. The only one that was ever looked good at all was the one that my friend here, Martin, shot for me. Unfortunately, it was a terrible feature. So it was a great video of a terrible feature as opposed to a terrible video of a decent enough feature. So, let's, you know. Here we go. I am watching an interview on television with Phil Donahue, popular daytime talk show host in the 1980s. He is talking about giving the eulogy at his father-in-law's funeral, his father-in-law being Danny Thomas, a popular comedian who started in vaudeville in the early part of the 20th century and who became very big in the early days of television. And Phil Donahue says that when he was finished with the eulogy, Milton Berle was going to come up and say a few words. Milton Berle being a contemporary of Danny Thomas, another popular comedian who also started in vaudeville in the early part of the 20th century and who also became very big in the early days of television. And Phil Donahue says that when he was finished eulogizing Danny Thomas, he introduced Milton Berle and went to take his seat. And Milton Berle stepped up to the microphone, looked over at Phil Donahue, and said, "Thank you, Geraldo." A reference to Geraldo Rivera, for those of you who don't know, another daytime talk show host in the 1980s, who was Phil Donahue's main rival for that audience. And while Milton Berle was himself quite elderly at the time, there was no way that he could actually confuse Phil Donahue with Geraldo Rivera. For one thing, they looked nothing alike, and more importantly, Phil Donahue was a serious person, while Geraldo Rivera was a clown. So, it was a joke at a funeral. And being such a big fan of Milton Berle as I was, I could hear him saying the joke with that inimitable timing of his. And just as important, I could see that very distinctive way that he had of pausing for the laugh, like the pro that he was. You know, the pursing of the lips, the looking around with neediness in his eyes, almost begging for the laugh. That pause almost as funny as the joke itself. And I literally laughed for an hour. That's how funny I find the joke. And when I am finally done laughing at the joke, I call my buddy, Ken Simon, who I had met in New York in the 1990s when we were both aspiring actors, and with whom I have become very close friends, sharing, among other things, a comic sensibility and many specific pop culture reference points. I can't wait to tell Ken about the joke, assuming that he will find it as funny as I do. But to my shock and surprise, Ken not only does not find the joke funny, he actually finds it offensive. "I can't believe that Milton Berle would tell a joke at a funeral. It's so disrespectful. A funeral is a solemn occasion, and there is no place for laughter at a funeral." I point out to Ken that it was the funeral of a comedian, but Ken is having none of it. For some reason, one of the funniest and most irreverent people I have ever known is completely against the idea of laughter at a funeral. And so, several years go by in which Phil Donahue passes away, and while Geraldo Rivera continues and even intensifies his clownishness, and one morning, I get the call. My buddy Ken has the nerve, the audacity, the temerity, the impudence, the unmitigated gall to die. My fellow traveler, my partner in crime, my brother from another mother is gone. And unfortunately, I am unable to attend Ken's funeral as it is being held in New York City, and I am 3,000 miles away in the beautiful city of San Francisco, California. However, our mutual friend Robin is able to attend Ken's funeral, and Robin tells me that if I want to, I can connect with him on something called FaceTime, which is apparently on our smartphones, and which will allow him to simply hold up his phone at the funeral so that I can see and hear the goings-on. And so, on the day of Ken's funeral, I find myself sitting in my car in a parking lot, watching Ken's funeral on my phone. And despite the sadness of the occasion, I cannot help but marvel at the technology involved that is allowing me to attend my friend's funeral from the other side of the country. I mean, what a world we live in where such technology is available to the average person. I mean, what extraordinary advances there have been in the fields of science and mechanization that allow even the least tech-savvy among us to be present at the funeral of a close friend while sitting in the relative comfort of a beat-up used car from thousands of miles away. I mean, what a time to be alive! Sorry, Ken. Wow, that was insensitive. So anyway, a rabbi eulogizes Ken, and he is then lowered into the ground. Ken, that is, not the rabbi. And then some of those in attendance who are actually physically present at the funeral begin to tell stories about Ken, about performances of his that they had witnessed or participated in with him, or about things he had said to them or in front of them at social gatherings. And Ken, being the gifted comic performer that he was, these reminiscences begin to elicit laughter. And when I hear this laughter, I think back to that conversation that he and I had about Milton Berle's joke at Danny Thomas's funeral. And I imagine that wherever Ken is, whether he's up there or down there or over there, oh, there he is. No, that's not him. Wherever Ken is, he is disapproving of this laughter. And just then, Robin tells me over the phone that if I have anything that I want to say, he would be glad to relay it to those in attendance. And so I say through Robin, yes, I do have something that I want to say. Ken would not appreciate this laughter that I am hearing at his funeral. We had an entire conversation about this very subject, and he made it very clear to me that he felt that a funeral was a solemn occasion and that there was no place for laughter at a funeral. So, as well-intentioned as this laughter may be, in Ken's memory, it must stop immediately. But I find that, rather than heeding my pleas to stop the laughter, my pleas are actually eliciting more laughter. And so I try again, pleading with those in attendance to please stop laughing, and making it clear to them that I'm not kidding, which elicits even more laughter. And I plead, and they laugh, and I plead, and they laugh, and I plead, and they laugh, and then I have a revelation. And I ask myself, why am I trying to stop this laughter? Ken was a gifted comic performer, so of course there was going to be laughter at his funeral. It's inevitable, it's unavoidable. And wherever Ken is, whether he's up there or down there or over there, oh, there he is. No, that's not him. Wherever Ken is, he's just going to have to deal with it. And then I have another revelation. These laughs that I have been provoking from those in attendance by pleading with them to stop laughing are some of the biggest laughs that I have ever gotten. And I think, yes, I am killing at my friend's funeral. Because, you know, a true narcissist can make anything about himself, even a close friend's funeral. And I like to think that wherever Ken is, you know, up there, down there, over there, there he is, that's not him. He is hearing this laughter. And he is thinking, maybe I was wrong. Maybe laughter at a funeral isn't such a bad thing after all. Yes, I approve of this laughter. I am Ken Simon, and I approve of this laughter. Thank you very much. Thanks again for giving me this opportunity. And thanks to everyone for coming out. Can I tell you how much it means to me?
I hope you're not going to kill any more friends to get more laughter.
Well, I was suffering a writer's block, so it did come at an opportune time.
Sparingly, on a budget.
Can you turn it off?
Thank you. Thank
No,
you so much.
press the
No, this one,
Alan
the
Harris.
stop button.
stop. There it is. Got it.